Welcome to another week of Token. I am Donna. This is Steven. Steven, what is Token?
Token is the place where the turkey legs always are seasoned, and
That's
also it's
yeah,
it's the one token character in the group is the one making sure they're seasoned.
I love it. That was a great way to make
Segue into
segue is the dance, segue it all together. Okay,
the
so
turkey legs for y'all is a reference to Donna just went to her first Renaissance fair, and she avoids the turkey legs because they're never seasoned.
well, they just weren't seasoned that time. They were
I
hot.
don't,
They were good to eat.
I don't think I've ever had them seasoned. I'm with you. Like it's
Oh wait, you've never had them? Okay, then maybe they just don't. I didn't eat it. My friend Alexis was like, yeah, it's hot, but it ain't. It's a little dry, but it ain't seasoned." So,
yeah.
and that's when I was like, "This ain't Turkey Leg Hut.
No. Turkey leg hut.
This ain't Houston. This is the we are in 1826. This is what it tastes like here."
Pretty much.
Very much. So this week we did Tenet. Um, you're always great with the synopsis. So what is Tenet all about?
Tenet is Christopher Nolan's latest film where we have a hero out to save the world, but first he has to learn the rules of time entropy, which involves objects floating, moving backwards through time, while at the same time being in present space where we all move normally forward through time. It's a time travel heist action movie.
Yeah, it was. I okay. Are you a Christopher Nolan fan? I love Christopher Nolan. Dark Knight is one of my favorite films. I love him. He's one of my favorite directors.
I same writer directors. Christopher Nolan, I think, is like at the top tier of. I'm sure every most people would agree, but he's one of my favorites. Not just I mean, The Dark Knight. Obviously, being a comic book fan, Batman's like my favorite hero, so Dark Knight is up there at the top of the list for me. But also with Inception and
Oh,
with
love Inception.
and one of my favorites from him that a lot of times people forget about is The Prestige. I love The Prestige. So, Christopher Nolan has definitely proved his salt repeatedly with the stories he chooses, and Interstellar, even right.
Oh yeah,
Like,
I haven't seen that. Sorry, I got caught up
oh,
in the agreeing,
you
and I
no,
said yes, and I was like, I
I
didn't.
mean, Memento, Inception, Interstellar, Dark Knight, the whole Dark Knight series, right? The Prestige. Christopher Nolan, he knows what he's doing, and he Dunkirk, right? Which I still haven't seen actually, but he does a great. He frequently involves time in his movies, uh, and like the illusion of time or the transference of time,
Yeah,
and he usually does a really good job with it.
he's not known though for including black people. He will
No,
give time,
no,
not no, he's not. Love
no.
him, but his films is there. You would be hurt to find a Negro.
They're very much on the light end of the spectrum. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is the first Christopher Nolan film where I was so disappointed. It, I so obviously our token in it, and this is the first black lead he's had,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
ever, like even secondary, he doesn't have black people in his films. And so John David Washington is the lead of it. He's also Denzel
Right.
Washington's son, and sometimes when he acts, you can hear Denzel in his voice. He's a great actor. His co-lead is Robert Patterson,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
he's great in this. Like he's great. I feel like he's great in this. I feel like Robert Patterson's great in this. I feel like it looks good. It's edited well. Every part of it, aspect wise, is put together beautifully, which it should
Right.
be. It's Christopher Nolan. But the script, oh my god, oh my god, oh my, it was like, are you kidding me? It I have so many thoughts. What are your thoughts? It was so distracting. I couldn't even solely watch John David Washington because I was too busy distracted by all of the filmmaking script things that were upsetting me.
Yes. all of that. The cinematography is beautiful. The acting is done well. The actors he picked are they're flawless. They all do a great job. Um, to me, the thing is that it's very stylistic and doesn't have a lot of the substance you would expect. Like the substance looks like it's there, but there's so much time spent on like rapid fire dialogue, like kind of Sorkin-esque like attempt at being Sorkin-esque with the, like rapid fire dialogue, that the first half of the movie is just characters talking, but they speak so fast and they're speaking kind of wittily. Is that a word? They're speaking very witty, but they're also speaking on very important things you need to know about the movie, but they speak so fast that you don't have time to absorb the last thing they said, right? And and if you're, as an audience member, you want to sit with things for a bit. You want to be able to, like, there's no beats where you can just breathe. Like that scene with him and Michael Caine eating.
Brooks Brothers won't cut it.
I'm assuming I'm on a budget.
Save the world, then we'll balance the books. Can I recommend a tailor?
I'll manage. You British don't have a monopoly on snobbery.
Blah, blah, blah. Like it's just boom, 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 right? And you don't have time to absorb anything of what they say. So, and you just move on to the next thing and the next thing.
Also, Michael Caine cameo out of nowhere.
Yeah, he's got to be. Christopher Nolan, that's his boy. So he's in every Christopher Nolan movie at least for a hot minute. I was surprised that he wasn't in this one longer, to be honest. But and I love Michael Caine too. It's just that the dialogue was so rapid fire with no space to breathe that it's hard to absorb it. And a movie like this, you really have to give the audience time to absorb it because the rules of the world are so complicated and so different. This idea of entropy, how time, and we've all heard the idea that time's not linear and stuff like that, but they basically do use a linear time and a reverse time. So they say time's not linear, but that's basically the rules they play with. But you're not moving as a person through time. It's objects that are moving through time until you step through the machine. Like it just gets so confusing that it ends up being convoluted and really, really hard to absorb. And I see now, like I was Googling Tenet, like I've been trying to avoid Tenet articles before I watched the movie. But you just Google Tenet chronology and you'll find a billion articles, right? Because it's so, every scene is not what you think it is. Every big set piece is not what you think it is. Every major plot twist is not what you think it is, which is cool. That's fine. Like, no, Nolan does that well, typically. But also because every one of those scenes involves another explanation of the time and what to expect with the next one, and then the next one doesn't happen the way you're supposed to expect it, it just gets so convoluted that it's hard to really invest emotionally in it.
Yeah, so when I was watching it, 20 minutes in it, I was literally fighting with my TV because I couldn't figure out how to put the subtitles on. Because I was like, it was going so much and you're I'm not as well traveled. I mean, I travel a little bit, but I'm not as well traveled as everyone else. So people's accents, when I first meet them, are hard for me to understand until I hear them for a second. So in the beginning of the movie, you're dealing with so many different accents. Everyone's talking so fast, and all of the information is important information. I felt like this failed where Inception succeeded. Like Inception, you knew the world, you knew what you were going in for, and it was clear enough and simple enough where you could follow it. The whole script to me felt like they were trying to explain, like literally from beginning to end. I am getting exposition. Is that the word? Is that the word we
Yeah.
use? Yeah, I'm getting exposition of how this time and stuff works. The entire movie, every scene where they're talking is explaining the time travel of the film.
How about now? It's inverted. Its entropy runs backwards, so to our eyes, its movement is reversed. We think it's a type of inverse radiation triggered by nuclear fission.
You didn't make it.
We don't know how yet.
So where did it come from?
Someone's manufacturing them in the future. They're streaming back at us.
And my thing is I just spit and I wonder if you can see it.
No.
But the whole movie was explaining this concept. And my idea was if the concept's so difficult that you have to explain it literally the entire movie, then you maybe are making it too complicated. Because for me as a viewer, like it felt like to me like he had a really cool idea. He's like, what if like you could move backwards and this, and visually very cool to see. Right? But like I couldn't really even enjoy it because it was the first time as like a viewer, I was like, I'm so confused. I don't know what's going on. I didn't know whenever he was having the conversation with Michael Caine about the art piece, I didn't know why we were tracking art all of a sudden. I had to like literally go back and watch the scene twice. I went and I read on Wikipedia. I was just like, I'm not getting it. And it was like, oh, this guy, this, it was just very confusing. I actually don't think like their quote unquote twists and turns were that satisfying. I don't know if it's because of the confusion, but it wasn't that satisfying. Like I knew, maybe because I watch as like a filmmaker, so you look for things, but it's like I knew in the beginning that when Robert Pattinson had that reaction to taking off the mask of the other like villain, I knew it either had to be him or it had to be Homeboy.
Yeah, yeah,
Right?
exactly.
And I to this day, I still don't know where Robert Pattinson came from, what company it was for. I don't to this day. I
He,
don't know. It was, I'm just so the last film I've watched, and this film, the difference between this film and Aaron Sorkin's, right, where it's like fast-paced dialogue. Even like if you go back to is it His Girl Friday?
$450 worth of counterfeit money.
Can't carry that much, boss.
No, just a 450 counterfeit. Where can I get it?
Oh, I got that on me.
Oh, quite a coincidence. Well, take it over to Hildy. Hello, it's coming right over. Yeah, I'm sending it over with Louis. Well, thanks for your story, dear, and good luck on your honeymoon.
No, never mind the thanks. Just see that money gets here.
Have you seen His Girl Friday?
no, I haven't, but I'm impressed you're popping that through. All right.
That's like that film is like 1940, I believe. But
Yeah,
like
old
it's
school.
not we've seen films where they have a lot of rapid dialogue. They have
Yeah,
like the rapid dialogue is like just in the moment. It's not every time you're talking about this time travel thing that I cannot get. And if I don't get it, I do not get the movie. And it made it just so unsatisfying for me as a viewer. I was just so disappointed by the script.
Same, and that's basically for the same reasons you expressed. I think, like, there were still, for me, there seemed to be kind of plot holes, like with her. She hates her husband, and he's holding this fake art over her head because she got him to buy it thinking it was real, but it turned out the art was fake.
She's not that good at her job.
She's not that good at her job. Yeah, exactly. But she also may have been compromised because she had a thing for the art seller, right? The guy that was the artist or whatever. But my thing is, this is still your husband, and so he spent $9 million on a piece of art, and turns out it's fake. I just felt like that setup was so poorly executed, because I'm thinking, even if he tries to go to the police with it, what are they going to be like? You're married, so you're a joint unit. So you just got your husband to buy a fake piece of art. I don't think that's like a crime you can go to jail for, especially if you didn't really know it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know about law stuff.
And I mean, there's
weird.
There's a whole at least here there's a whole legal thing where your spouse can't testify against you in court. Right. But it's like, if your spouse tried to take you to court for something that they didn't know was actually fake, but you bought, like, I just felt like that was a very shoehorned, forced plot device to drive the plot.
Yeah.
When they could have made it a million other ways for her and him to hate each other. Right.
And it's like very damsel in distress, all of this. And then we're supposed to like fully believe that the protagonist, which is the name of John David Washington's character, we're supposed to believe that the protagonist is risking everything for her, but like they have no like so here's a writing mistake, and I'm no Christopher Nolan, that I'm not. I just want to say, before I say Christopher Nolan had a writing mistake, I just want everyone to know that I know I am not Christopher Nolan. I'm not it. Not it, right? But there is, if they would have had at the very beginning of the movie, right? Because you meet Protagonist, you meet John David Washington, and the way they introduce you to him is that he's a skilled fighter and that he's willing to go down for the cause.
Right.
Right? He literally takes a suicide pill and kills himself at the beginning of the film in
Mm-hmm.
order to hide information. Right? You don't meet his family, you don't meet anything else about him. So now I'm supposed to believe how you set him up, that now all of a sudden he's willing to risk literally the planet exploding, everyone dying for this white woman who he has no sexual chemistry with on camera. I just want to point that out. That he's going to risk everything for this white woman he literally just met this week. That's a mistake. Because what you should have done, if you really wanted me to believe that, is either he's known her from the past, right? So you
Yeah.
have built-in history. So that's why he has allegiance to her.
Right.
Or you show in the beginning he had a family, he had a wife and a son that he couldn't save, and he always regretted that.
Right. Either one of those. Boom. Either one of those. Simple. And that's writing 101, like storytelling,
Oh,
especially
oh,
movies.
Christopher, that's writing
No,
101. Nolan, that's writing
I mean,
101.
again, look, I'm definitely no Nolan with my writing yet, but
Hey.
but we, but like, I mean, that's easy. That's the easiest way to have the audience sympathize with your character and with your protagonist and believe that your protagonist would go to extreme risks for this other person that shows up in their life, right? Easiest way. Give them built-in history or give them ghosts of the past that they want to save in the present, right? And so I agree with you. Like, he just meets her, and sure, you want to be a good guy. Like, you establish he's a good guy. We get that, right? And he's willing to die for the cause, but also willing to save the cat, right? Willing to save the woman and the kid, but also, like, in the real world, you're gonna think you've known this man as a horrible man. Like, how bad do you feel for Melania Trump, right? You're gonna think you've known this horrible man is a horrible person for how many years now? You've been invested in this man and his lifestyle and living off that lifestyle, and you've tolerated it all the way up to this point. But now I'm supposed to feel sorry for you, right? Like, it's one of those things. In the real world, you as the protagonist may view the situation differently, especially if it involves the fate of the entire world, right?
We're just supposed to believe that she had no clue that he did anything suspicious, which is weird for us to believe that, and weird for us to believe she believed that, considering she knows he's a terrible human being.
Yeah, and that he's an arms dealer, right?
Right. Well, supposedly she didn't know he was an arms dealer. She thought he was just and this is all confusing, right? So supposedly what I got from it, whenever there's a scene where he brings her into the room and there's all the guns there, right? And he says, "This is how I pay for our lifestyle." And she's like a little bit like shocked.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like, I'm supposed to believe the way that you guys wrote this, the way that you set these people up. It's very hard for me to believe that this woman has no idea that her husband, who is awful to her, would not be awful in his business dealings. Like, you have no, like, he's filthy rich. You have no clue that potentially he could be doing bad stuff. He's already presented to you that he's a bad person. Just bad. The writing, and I question that. I'm like, why did I know for the B story you always want to have the love story, right?
Typically, yeah.
Yeah, but
not always, but typically.
But they don't even like invest in the love story, right? If we're supposed to believe he cares for her out of love or something between them, and then you guys don't really invest in that in the script. Like, you have him get a little kiss on the cheek by this woman, or it just, and they don't have any sexual chemistry. You don't build up like a backstory. Like, there's no reason for him to be so invested in this woman when literally the end of the world is at hand. Like, he cares about people, but like there, I mean, he cares about people, but there's nothing that I've seen that's been like, wow, he's willing to risk like the mission to save the person.
I'm not. So deal us in.
Us? Why would you want to involve her again?
Because she can get close to him.
Does he still trust her?
He thinks she's dead, but he used to.
You have started looking at the world in a new way.
And now it's your turn. Assuming she makes it out alive, whether or not you feel she knows too much.
I can't.
If you don't have the authority, then talk to whoever's in charge of loose ends. I need your word that she and her son will be safe, Priya.
Yeah, James Bond will let them girls go. He'll meet them for one night, move on the next day, and go save the world. Right?
It was just very, I thought that like storyline was really weird. Like, and it, I guess it was to drive like the story or like move it forward. But it's like, on one hand, it's like I had no idea what they were trying to get or piece together or solve it with the time. You know, I just knew it would cause the end of the world. And then on the
Mhm.
other hand, I had no idea why we were so invested in risking so much for this woman you literally just met 2 days ago.
Yeah, exactly. And I think in that one scene specifically where he was showing her all the guns, I think she was pretending to be surprised. So I think a lot of those scenes where she was pretending to not know what he was doing, I think was just a front. Because remember when the protagonist talks to her, he says, "Oh, you don't really know what your husband's really doing." She's like, "Of course I know what he's doing. He's an arms dealer. You think I don't know what he's doing?" Like, I think she was fronting the whole time. But either way, I just think I agree. Their chemistry wasn't. I mean, they he did a great job acting like he cared or pretending he cared to piss
Yeah,
off the
but
villain.
not in a sexual way. Like I never
But
got
yeah,
sexual between them.
yeah. So
But I needed that. I would have liked sexual because at least I understood why he was so invested. Because I'd be like, oh, he's really like into her. But I don't like I never felt that he was like really into her. I just felt like he was like doing the right thing, I guess. And I actually don't feel like he was doing the right thing by like subscribing to this woman. Like literally the end of the world is at hand.
yep,
If the
yep.
end of the world ends, this woman and her husband and this baby that she cares, this son she cares about so much, end. And you know what's so funny? It's
Hmm.
like she cares so much about her kid. She's like, oh, like even when. So I just don't. I didn't like how they played that woman character. Like so much was like tied into her, yet she wasn't reliable, and it didn't make sense why people were depending on her and saving her. Like she even almost ruins the whole mission at the end of the film.
She's killed him. Do you copy? She's killed him.
She told me to come. She killed him.
Yes, yeah, because and that was another plot hole I thought was hard to buy. That she knew the mission, they were right there, but then almost fucked it up at the end because she couldn't bear to stand him feel like he was winning, even though he was literally about to die. Instead of just letting him fucking die and know you're winning because you're saving the fucking world, she is like wants to get her own personal little revenge, her petty little revenge, because she couldn't bear to let him think he was winning before he dies, even though again he was about to die anyway. She wanted to, and she was like, "I knew you would figure it out." What the fuck? How do you know I'm gonna figure it out? Like, I appreciate the faith, but this is like serious shit we got going on. Like, you
Literally the
jeopardize
world.
everything just for that. Yeah, and like you said, the thing on his wrist, once he dies, that's it. Like, and she already knew that they were on a tight ass time schedule to begin with.
Yeah, I feel
So
like it was a very I feel like they used her as a very weak point to move the plot and to add conflict.
I think this was one of those movies where he has a license to act black within that character, but his character wasn't created black,
I agree.
right? Similar to like Royal Tenenbaums and some of the other movies we've seen. Like, there's times when he said he definitely acts black,
I ordered my hot sauce an hour ago.
or where he's or where he's like where he does that, where he's driving off in the boat right before the goons are coming towards the boat, and he's like does that whole "Hey, my man," like pointing at him,
Yeah.
like just and
Like
when he's like,
he doesn't seem like he's denying his blackness, but it wasn't written into the script.
yeah, exactly. So your question specifically, I don't think so.
No. Other
Because
than the hot sauce line, like you said, there was one line where in the beginning where he's at lunch dinner with the wife, or I think it's either after the dinner or before, but he says, "Oh, you don't." Maybe he didn't like the way I looked. He didn't like the look of me, referencing like him being black.
yeah,
And even then, she's like, "No, he just doesn't want any man to be with me." Like, okay, so there isn't a lot of reference. I'm curious to see if this character, I want to read the original script because I'm curious to see if it was written for a white man And maybe Christopher Nolan recognizes that he has literally no black people. Even in this film, what other black people did you see other than John David Washington playing the lead? I didn't see any, Steven.
No, there's the closest thing was the Indian dude from the Yesterday movie that was there to help him. That was the closest
That's
thing.
it. I
But
don't
it's
remember any. It was still very white. It was still very whitewashed. Even
yeah.
the extras. Like if I was trying to think maybe in the army crowd there was some, but I know at the very beginning scene where they're in the auditorium, that's all white folks in there.
Yeah, it's a European concert hall, so they're all white, and like the military officers are all in masks, so you couldn't see them.
Right. But
But
the
I
ones
imagine,
that we met, everyone was white. No one else black even remotely or kind of like it just felt like he was like, hey, I know you guys want diversity, so I'll trump you on that. I'll put a black man as the lead, but all these other people aren't going to be black, even our extras. Like it wasn't even a lazy diversity. It was kind of like, and I think Robert Patterson, I think John David Washington did a great job. Like I think he's great in this. He's great. I fault the script. I fault the script. I fault the script, and I'm disappointed because the one time you have a black lead, like this is the result of the film.
well, oh, as you're saying, this is the result of the film as a whole.
Exactly. The everything, the script, the trash was the script. Because everything else looks pretty. This will be great for his acting reel. He can show people he can do, fighting scenes and he act like he's great in it. The script is bad.
I'd agree. I mean, the script, so many times, yeah, just so much that could have been done to make it stronger. But there's definitely no acknowledgement, no real like reference or acknowledgement of his blackness itself. No, and like it's interesting because they spend a lot of time in the first act making sure that they know he's not the man on the inside, that he's pretending to be on the outside.
You've got the suit, the shoes, the watch. I think you're a little out of your depth.
Like references to the Brooks Brothers suit, and asking if he's ever been on a boat, and when he pulls in on the boat, they tell him that she tells him that that's actually, if I know, when he sits down with her, when he first meets her, sits down with her at the table, and he's like, oh yeah, no, he's like, oh, what does he do? She's like, well, if you were really doing this, you would know it's this or that or whatever. Like they spend a lot of time making sure he knows that they know he's not really the person he's pretending to be. But I think they could have easily injected like his background growing up with whatever community, doing this and then going to train, because we don't really know anything about him at all.
We don't wear
past that he was like some type of special forces, right? And I think given a little bit of exposition, there's plenty of exposition in the movie, so give us a little bit of exposition in terms of his background being black, and it just make his character more fleshed out that way.
Yeah, even whenever they make the comment about the suit he was wearing was nice. Like if y'all are trying to show a difference, like make it completely different. Like his suits from the beginning were nice. Like he's walking around in suits in the first place. So
yeah. But I guess that's the difference between ultra rich and like, I got a little bit of funding for a suit, is I guess Brooks Brothers versus straight up couture, like custom made stuff.
I get it, but for me in the audience, like I see it, but it wasn't enough of a difference. Like it just didn't, you guys didn't give me much. I think it would have done more benefit for the audience and for the script and for the story if you had made him a little bit, like he could still be smooth, but like, I don't know, just like played into the fact that he's very street smart. He's very like, he knows. And like, I don't know. I just very disappointed in like how it was executed. And, I don't necessarily think that every time you have a film, like it has to like always pertain to someone's blackness. But I do like to see that like the whoever wrote this acknowledges that, right? Like there are just certain things and situations that you read differently as someone Black. Like when he
Yeah.
first comes in, you know, and the waiter being mean to him, I wouldn't just read it as I don't fit here. I would read it as also I don't look like I fit here.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, I
100%.
don't look the part. Christopher, which you know, that's why everyone's white in this scene. Except me.
Like, everybody. And he's asking for his hot sauce. Like you already know what it is when you're, especially when you're a Black man in like the forces like that, you're already gonna stand out. But when you're in spaces like that, very high end, very rich spaces, you're definitely gonna be the only one that looks like you, with the exception of some African leaders and royalty. So you already know that this character is gonna be looked at differently and treated differently. So you can easily acknowledge it. I mean, again, there's so much exposition in this film anyway. You can easily acknowledge that by putting a little bit of that in the dialogue. Have Michael Caine be like, "Don't mind them. They're not used to seeing somebody with so much flavor, so much attitude, whatever." Right? Like it'd be easy enough to write some
Easy
throwaway lines in there that reference, oh yeah, we see that this guy is different, and because
like,
they saw he was different.
Yeah,
but
it was obvious. And they made it very obvious the way they treated him in the film too, that he was different.
Yeah, but it wasn't that he was different because he was Black. It was different because he was this special forces guy that was working for somebody that wasn't really this high-end rich. Who was he supposed to be? At first, he was supposed to be an embassy, somebody from the embassy, right?
Yeah, something like that. Yes.
So it just didn't hold up as well as it could have otherwise.
If you had to if you had to do another film with him and this character, what would be your pitch?
Wait, what? John David with this character?
Yeah, because he is the lead. So okay, we have the lead, but it's like, because I would love to see him in another action role. I think having, like, I would say I love the idea of a heist. I love the idea of like even the time travel element of it, but it's just so unclear. It should have been simplified so much. And like, just if we could redo this film, I would personally say I would like some more exposition, and I would like the utilizing of this woman to have been better. I actually think what would have been best if she turned out to be an enemy.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I expected at the start, but then I was like, no, she's just a damsel in distress. I think there's an argument to be made that Nolan doesn't really do sequels like that, but there's an argument to be made that there's a sequel you could do with Aaron Taylor Johnson's character, who said, "If I'm going to be finding you, and if I find you, I'll kill you." But you know, like where he's actually, it's like years later, and he actually is finding all of them. And going through all this, it would be hard to believe that he would want to take those parts from them to destroy the world again, because it's the same plot. But if they have to escape him and stop him from doing something else, then I could easily see that. If they were just to redo the film altogether, I would just have him there and throw in another brother, man. Have somebody from the African embassy or whatever that's got to meet up with, like in Inception, they assemble this whole team from all over the world, right? They have Ellen Page, who's not Elliot Page, but at the time Ellen Page was the girl, the student, right? They have obviously Leo. They have the Japanese guy. They have
nobody Black.
Nobody Black. They have Tom Hardy, and these are all great actors. I love all of these actors in this movies, right? Yep. But it's definitely nobody Black. And I felt like one time they were in Madagascar or somewhere where there's Black people. So I was like, what is going on? But I think the last movie he had with Black characters was what, Dark Knight, right?
No, ain't nobody Black in Dark Knight.
Don't you can't forget Morgan Freeman. You can't leave him out like that for nothing. He's the one that creates all his weapons. He's the one that gives them all.
I'm sorry.
You can't.
I totally forgot about Morgan Freeman. Wow.
He's Lucius Fox, which is in the character that's Black in the comic books too. But he's the what,
that's the
like
he's Black.
the weapons creator. Yeah,
He's like,
pretty much.
damn, he's black in the comics. Well, get us a black.
Yeah, it's a black guy. But I just felt like there were so many opportunities here to one, slow down the story and let the audience understand what is going on, but more than that, to just, he's already acting black, like just acknowledge it and have him be like, damn, only brother on this mission. I seen this movie, how this movie ends, just
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
just like
Just
that.
like a nod to like, it's just sad. Anyway, I'm trying to think, is there like a film? I guess, you could look too easily like I think what Christopher Nolan does is just so different. Like I'm trying to think of other movies that are like the equivalent of this. And it's like what Christopher Nolan does is just so different. But you can look at like I guess you would throw in like your Fast and the Furious, right? Like of action movies. It's not the same as this, but like action, or even The Italian Job. The Italian Job was a film done that has a very diverse cast. I think Mark Wahlberg's in it. I forgot who else, but I know the director for that is black. I think I can't remember his name.
Italian Job is Mark Wahlberg, Mos Def.
There we go.
Charlize Theron, Seth Green. There's a bunch of really fun actors in that movie.
It's a black director on that too.
But if we're looking at comps, I think one, Inside Man would be a great one.
That Inside Man.
That very much.
Which stars Denzel Washington.
There you go. And directed by Spike Lee. So I think Inside Man would be a great one. And I think Italian Job would be a great one too. I think there's quite a few. Like I'm a big heist film fan.
There's quite a few that have like diverse casts and stuff like that. And it's super exciting to have a Christopher Nolan film where the lead is a black man.
Yeah.
I think in such a stark white environment, honestly, the biggest issue with this was the script.
Yeah. I 100% agree. I haven't even really dug into reviews and theories and all that yet, but it is for me, from the jump, I was just like, this is going to be a lot to take in. And I could understand why people were saying what they did when the movie came out. Because
it made me upset.
Me too. Really, because one, it's a long ass movie.
Ooh, 2.5 hours.
That involve so much science that requires exposition. And like you said, there's exposition in every scene, but you still don't get time to stop and understand it. Or to see more examples of it. Like the scenes are shot well. They're shot beautiful, right? It's cool to see things in reverse and they're fighting all that. But there came a point where I was just like tuned out. I was like, I really don't care how this scene ends.
The final fight scene was just so chaotic, and I didn't understand how the time worked or the running. And I still don't understand what I watched.
Me neither. And I love time travel movies. I've watched many of them and looked up the theories and understand the bulk of them easily enough.
Okay, well, give us a good time travel film to watch. Give us two before we close out.
Oh man,
come on, Steven.
I know. Well, now you put me on the spot. And I'm trying to think. What do I? Let's see. Well, shit.
2 hours later.
Live, Die, Repeat, right? Edge of Tomorrow with Tom Cruise.
That
kind of more of a Groundhog Day one.
I read that script back in the day.
Did you?
Oh yeah, I read it before it came out because it was on the blacklist.
Oh yeah, that's right. Look at you. How was the script compared to the movie? Was it easy enough to understand?
Oh yeah. The film and the movie, that's the same thing. The script and the movie definitely were like the same, and it was great. The script is a great read. The film is great. Like you easily get the rules of the game.
See, and that's something like with sci-fi movies, especially, you want to make sure that's easy enough to understand, but still interesting enough that people are going to keep watching because they don't know what's going to happen next. This one I had no idea what was going to happen next, but it was so hard to understand. I pulled out emotionally, which meant I didn't invest in the characters of the movie at all. Looper, I think, is another one that's really fun.
I love Looper. Jordan Gordon-Levitt is in that.
Always good to be here. Thank you.
Him and Bruce Willis.
What did I say? Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I meant it. I'm sorry.
And I love him too, man. And both of him and Bruce. And that one was a little confusing, but you got the gist of it once the ball was rolling. And it had such a crazy, like, kind of twist with that and the whole supernatural aspect of it, that it was like a clever blend of sci-fi and time travel that you don't normally see, right? Deja Vu with Denzel, right?
Ooh, I haven't seen that in a long time.
I haven't seen it in a while either, but I remember thinking they did a pretty fun job with time travel and a clever job with it. So I think there's those ones, and I would recommend people watch all three of those, just because they're such great films, right? And what's gonna happen is we're gonna hang up and I'm start thinking of the ones I really, really love, and I'm gonna be mad that I didn't drop those. But
I mean, we'll post them on our story.
Yeah, we should.
So a good segue is, if you don't, please follow us at Blackson Cinema. There you can see, not only if you're a listener,
Token Blackson Cinema.
Oh my gosh, did I mess up? Token Blackson Cinema, man. Yeah, so you can go to IGTV there that we have. You can see the video of this if you're listening. If you're watching, you're already following, good. But you know what you should do? You should share this. You should rate it if you have it on iTunes.
Like and subscribe.
Subscribe as my. Oh yeah, we're on YouTube too with this. Yeah, so do all the works here, okay, people? Help us out. And we'd love to hear your comments, your thoughts, if you've seen it. If you have any, as always, film recommendations, please let us know, and we will definitely watch them. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. We love it.
Till next time.
Peace.